What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the NBA Final Countdown Show. It is Saturday. We're leading up to a little four-game NBA slate. Starts 45 minutes from now. Of course, this show presented by RunPureSports.com. I'm Draftcheat, Peter Christensen, joined today by AP and RubioDimes. AP, what's going on, man?
Not a lot, man. Just been grinding NBA. Had a good Showdown slate. We're in there with golf. We got MMA going on. We got NASCAR tomorrow. We're just here to win it all. So, I'm pumped. This is a nice four-game slate. I like these small slates. I always feel that we can find the winners, and get the edge.
Absolutely. Rubio, how you doing today?
Doing good. Sweating some Xfinity NASCAR and working here at Verizon. So I'm in the very nice suited up, much better dress than you guys. So
I don't actually own any button-down shirts, so yeah, credit to you for showing up looking good. That might be the first button-down shirt in RPS show history. I'm not quite sure. The first that I've seen personally on any of my shows. So looking good, Rubio. Of course, we've got also MMA UFC 258 starting up here in 12 or 13 minutes. And we've got content all over the site for that, for NBA DFS, PGA, whatever sports are going on. We got you covered. Bets, DFS, anything else. The Discord always popping. And we do have a special promotion running right now, guys. RPS free entry, all one word. If you sign up before Monday, that will get you into a drawing for an $888 free entry into, I think, a DraftKings tournament, right? Probably NBA would be the most likely you'd use that on. But so good stuff over at RunPureSports.com. Check us out if you enjoy the show, and hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to bring free shows like this one and shows that we bring all across the DFS sports spectrum. With that, let's jump into this four-game slate. First game of the night, we'll go, of course, starting with the earliest game of the night. It is Indiana and Atlanta. Indiana 2-point favorites here, 223.5 total. Some news and notes: Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn, of course, going to remain out, as is Bogdanovich. But mostly healthy teams here. Cam Reddish in there for Atlanta. I'm personally kind of surprised to see Indiana just very slight favorites here. AP, what are you seeing between the Hawks and the Pacers here?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's coming off a game where they got absolutely blown out of the stadium. None of their starters saw over 23 minutes last night. So they're fresh. They should play full minutes. The key thing I'm looking at is we got Rondo out again, and their backcourt's going to be very thin. Trae Young has 38 to 40-minute upside here. And in a matchup that, the Pacers have not been as good defensively, either. And so it's really an interesting spot. We have two teams that have struggled on the defensive end of the ball of late. We got the Hawks, where it's like, I feel like guys like Capella are going to go a little under own tonight. And I think he's in an absolute smash spot. His price is down. If you're a box score guy looking at his recent performances, you're not going to like what you see. But that's just not what we do. I love the matchup. This is a spot where Capella should get full run. I think it's going to be a competitive game, and I like the total here too. I compare the spot to like the Rockets and the Knicks. You have a similar spot in that game where usage is going to fall on like John Wall, Cousins. It's going to be the same for the Pacers in Brogdon and Sabonis. Those are going to be the two guys that are going to lead the team in usage. You also have Doug McDermott. I actually really like this matchup for him. He's been starting. The risk there is if this game does stay close, he's only going to finish down the stretch if he's shooting well and if he's playing well. But still, I think you're going to get solid minutes. I love the matchup. I don't think they really have anyone that is going to be out there to stay on him. And I actually finally think, if you want to tilt tonight, you can follow me on this one. But I think Gallinari is going to have himself a night too. I think this is a much better matchup for him to get going in the second unit. I like the overs in this game. I think it's going to be a great game for fantasy production. I think Big T talks about it all the time. Stack up this game or get heavy exposure to it, and get out in front and let people come and chase you.
Yeah, it makes some sense. Normally we wouldn't expect a Pacers game to be among the higher totals on the slate, but on a 4-game slate, and two of the totals, Rockets and Knicks and Heat and Jazz both have totals 215.5 and below. And then, of course, you've got the Nets and the Warriors with by far the highest total at 245. But this one coming in second highest, 223. So certainly not one that you're going to just automatically write off. Frankly, you can't do that on any 4-game slate. Can't write off, all the players in any game. But yeah, I think you make some sense, AP, with your calls there. It kind of seems like you're leaning a little bit toward the Hawks side, maybe a little Trae Young, Clint Capella stack. Of course, you kind of know who's going to do the damage on the Pacers side. The Pacers have been kind of struggling a little bit recently. I kind of thought with everybody basically fully healthy, I thought they would be playing well, but it hasn't exactly been the case. Greg, Rubio, what's going on? What are you seeing between Pacers and Hawks here?
It's a game where it's tough to ignore the price, especially of Doug McDermott at 4.3 when he's starting getting 30 minutes. It's just that's kind of where I'm getting caught at. I definitely want pieces of this game, and I'm not a big fan of the Atlanta defense at all, especially at the point guard position with Trae Young. So I'm kind of looking at Brogdon a bit, almost cored him, but decided to go with John Wall instead. It's a game that I'm greatly interested in. I know that AP brings up Capella. We've seen that athletic bigs all the time just dominate Indiana. So I really like that call. We've seen Capella's upside just, on a massive scale earlier this month, even, or earlier in January, I should say. It's where he was just a walking 60 at some point. So you can kind of technically get a buy low. And I know today we're kind of operating on a 2-center lineup, I would say. I think most of us are with Noel in the middle. So it's a game to where I do want 2-3 pieces, but right now I'm looking at McDermott, kind of looking at Capella and Brogdon for the most part.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't have a ton to add from those picks. So yeah, I guess AP, unless you have final thoughts on this game you want to share, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I think Brogdon's going to go a little under-owned relative to where he should be, and this is going to be the absolute best matchup that he's going to get in quite some time against Trae Young. Opposing guards have been absolutely torching this guy. He doesn't really play defense, and so if there was ever a get-right spot for him, it would be here. Maybe he just sucks. Who knows? I'm going to have some exposure. It's like one of those spots where I kind of just want to click the all-in button. And I kind of want to be underweight John Wall because John Wall is going to be the guy who's 50 to 60% plus owned. And we're going to get to that game, but much slower pace. And we could get, it could be a nice little leverage spot for sure.
Yeah, we'll get to that game right now. That's Houston Rockets and New York Knicks. As you mentioned, pretty slow pace in this one. That's certainly reflected in the total where the Knicks are actually underdogs here. The Rockets, half-point favorite. So more or less a toss-up between these two teams. But this does have the lowest total on the slate, even 1.5 lower than the Heat and Jazz, or 2.5 points lower, rather, than the Heat and the Jazz. A 213 total, which pretty low, frankly, by kind of modern NBA standards. So we've seen the Knicks. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but they've been at or near the bottom of the league in pace all year long, have played surprisingly good defense. And Vegas is kind of buying it. You do see a low total in this one. AP, you mentioned John Wall. We expect him to be popular, I think, for fairly good reason, although he's looked really good to me, but we really haven't seen much ceiling from John Wall. He will benefit here from the absence, especially of Victor Oladipo. Christian Wood going to miss this one, but he's been out for a while, so we've kind of seen how Houston's been able to, adjusted, I guess, to the absence of Christian Wood. We'll see another start from DeMarcus Cousins, who I would say has been disappointing overall these last, 4 or 5 games with Christian Wood out. Derrick Rose expected to play in this one, but he is listed as questionable. We'll go to you first, Rubio, on the Rockets and the Knicks. I think a game that if this was an 8 or 10 or 12 game slate, you might kind of be looking elsewhere fairly quickly from this game. But as I said, a 4-game slate, you can't really overlook anything entirely.
It's I kind of agree. I mean, this is one of those games, but I just really feel like this John Wall price is the lowest we'll see for the next, months. He's finally getting those minutes where he was limited to like 22, 24, 28. And now he's just got 36 minutes. He's fresh off those,
he seems like
game.
Basically a full go at this point.
Exactly, a full go. And we've seen the 50 points in the past, but we haven't seen him, as a full go for a month, over a month, since the new year began. And he's always been a guy who averages over a point a fantasy minute. And so I think this is an easy spot where you can kind of like settle him around like, a great cash play first off. I think that's why his ownership will be so high. But I think he's just really hard pressed for me to even think about fading because of the floor and upside that he presents. He's the man. Oladipo is going to be out as well. Yeah. So I don't really see anyone to take away usage from him. This game should be tight. I definitely expect a full load of minutes. And I think this is an easy spot for 40 for him.
I'm with you there. I think, if you're playing cash games, pretty hard to avoid at that price point on DraftKings. I think he's just, very, very likely to get you 35. A ceiling, maybe 50, 55, I think is probably as far as you could push that ceiling. That might be enough at his price point certainly if you're going to get 50 fantasy points out of John Wall. If you knew that prior, you would lock him in. But it's still a lock. I mean, we've seen him most days right around that, just under 40 fantasy points kind of seems to be his sweet spot. Not that he can't go for more. And, I'll reiterate, he does look good on the court to me. He looks explosive. It's just we haven't seen huge games from him yet. AP, it sounds like you might have a little bit of a different take on John Wall in terms of, I think we all agree, going to be one of the more popular plays on the slate. So maybe your take is more that you think you can kind of find a player that can beat him around his salary.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in this phase like of DFS where when a high usage player is ruled out, we're automatically going to the guy that gets the biggest bump and we're locking him in. And you're seeing optimizers, you're seeing people just auto clicking this guy and getting him in. And I don't know, John Wall hasn't beat us all year. So like the other thing too is I was watching the bet show and those guys brought up a really good point earlier today. They were like, this total's way off. Like this game could go under 207. Both teams play at a slow pace. Both teams play pretty good defense. The Knicks also have multiple guys that they could throw at John Wall too. And then with the Rockets, like you have guys that kind of can, semi-create their own shot too. Like Jason Tate hasn't looked bad at like getting inside and getting some buckets in the paint. So I don't know. I think I'm going to be underweight Wall because I do think he's going to be one of the highest owned players. I think it's just going to be a really good leverage spot. He definitely could beat me on the slate tonight, but I'm fine with it. It's, I'm kind of surprised that there's going to be so many chalky players in this game. Eric Gordon is kind of popping. It looks like he could be around 34 to 38% owned.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, and I get it. I think this game, I think there's a chance where this game maybe falls under 200 points. I just think it's going to be a sloppy, slow-paced game. John Wall is not, he's not been pushing the pace at all. And I don't think the Knicks are going to push it either. It's like what we're going to see is like they're going to dribble up and they're going to play half-court ball. And it's tougher to do. We want teams that push and play in transition. That creates a faster pace. It creates more opportunities for fantasy points. And yeah, so I'm going to be a little underweight on Wall. On the other side of this game, I definitely like Noel. I just think a different spot than last night. Obviously the same risks apply. He's going to be a very chalky value. But since like Stewart busted last night and was terrible, in high stakes in the 1500, Stewart was like 92% owned. Noel, I think, is going to be like half that because I think people are going to be like, well, I'm not going back to the chalky center that busted last night. And so we could probably get him a little bit under what he should be because he should definitely be in that 60 to 70% plus ownership range. And so if we get him at 40 to 50%, I'm good with that. So, and then on the other side, the other thing about the Knicks too is this backcourt is really frustrating. They can throw so many guys out there. Derrick Rose is questionable. If he gets ruled out, I will have a lot of interest in Emmanuel Quickly. He's a guy that's been catching my eye. He took a ton of shots last night. And the last time we saw him trend up, the last time we saw his field goal attempts trend up, he went on this 5-game little heater where he was phenomenal. So I would rather get on that early And if Rose is out, he's a guy that I definitely am going to be pivoting to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think I love Quickly. I don't think I can play him. You could play him, but he's not really a recommended play if Rose is playing. The minutes just aren't going to be there. But Quickly is just one of those guys. I mean, this goes for tonight, goes for future slates. If one or more of those Knicks guards are ruled out, Quickly is waiting there, right, to kind of take a bigger role, play more minutes, take more shots. So, like you said, if Rose is out, we don't really expect him to be, but he's questionable. Quickly would become a solid play. Noel, obviously, starting for the injured Mitchell Robinson, 3,900 on DraftKings. Noel, a pretty damn good fantasy point per minute player. What do you project for minutes for Noel? They do have Taj Gibson there that's been playing some minutes, and I think Thibodeau would be comfortable playing him at the 5. You know, how many minutes we'll see, and then Randall can obviously play a little bit of 5 as well. AP, what do you have for Noel on a minutes projection? I do think you'll see Noel, like you said, not a Stewart level of ownership, but you should see him around, I think, 50% ownership and decent stake stuff.
I got his minutes right around, I would say the range I have is like 21 to 28.
Yeah.
With 28 being an absolute cap. For sure. He's not going to be a guy that's going to get 30 plus.
There's just some guys that just don't, and Noel does seem to be one of those guys.
Like on FanDuel, though, he's 4K. He's like 4K. He's a good fantasy point per minute producer. We got a matchup, too, where so Jason Tate's not tall, and he loves getting buckets in the paint. It's going to create a lot of block opportunities for Nerlens, too. So
Noel's kind of like a perfect FanDuel guy, right? Blocks and steals, defensive stats. He's probably not going to get you a double-double anyway. He's not going to get 3-pointers anyway, so you don't get that bonus on DraftKings. And then, he also doesn't really commit turnovers because he's just not that type of player. He doesn't put the ball on the floor. So I do like him, especially on FanDuel, but I think he's obviously in play on both sides. Rubio, what are you seeing here? Knicks and Rockets. Let's start with New Orleans Noel. Let's kind of put a cap on this one.
It's hard for me to think about fading Noel. Mitch Robinson going down with a fractured wrist, so it's a little bit like, I think the minutes are going to be there, at least 24. He's always been a high point per minute guy for the most part. This season's been a little bit different for the most part. I understand that he's averaging just a little bit under it, but I think anywhere near, I think he kind of runs on the high side of those 21 to 28 minutes. I think he can get 28 to 30. I think he's just a very solid play. Bigs versus Houston have always been, great as well. He gets it done on the defensive end. Like just this season, he's averaging 2 blocks in 17 minutes. So anywhere north of that, to where I just think he's just a very solid option. Maybe you can fade in tournaments, kind of get away with it. Looking at as well, if I'm trying to play Curry, I think you need multiple values, and you can go to McDermott, Noel, but then you're kind of looking for a third guy. I think Daniel House, who's been ice cold from downtown, he could be a guy who kind of sneaks into some lineups. Cheap tag of 4.2. The minutes are there. He's getting over 30 minutes in his last 3 games. Just ice cold from downtown, where he's 3 of his last 20, I believe. So, if he's starting to hit some threes, I think that 4.2 tag is just way too soft. We saw him get 36 just 2 games before. I really do like him.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I don't want to go too crazy with this game. You just know with the Knicks, it's probably going to be low scoring. AP, as you mentioned, could even go under that 213.5 total that we're looking at. So just be careful here. Obviously, some really good plays on paper, including Wall and Noel. We really haven't talked about Julius Randle. I don't mind that play. It sounds like, just given the fact that it's brought us, or took us this many minutes to bring him up, he could go relatively under-owned. I think people will be looking maybe to other studs, but I don't mind this matchup for him. So some different ways you can go with the Knicks and the Rockets. I think we've covered most of what we need to there. The big news to watch is the Derrick Rose news, where I think Emmanuel Quickly would become a fun play, especially if that news is, after lock, which it seems like it will be. We've got lock in 25 minutes, but the closer it is kind of to the start of that game, the lower that you're going to get Quickly, kind of as a fun tournament dart. Let's go to Brooklyn and Golden State. I do think you'll see this game probably be the most popular one of the night, although it does become somewhat tough. We're going to see the return of Kevin Durant, who is returning from his 9th bout of COVID on the year, but he'll be back in there tonight, back from the health and safety protocols. For the Warriors, you're going to see Wiseman and Looney miss out. We'll talk about Draymond Green, who's kind of had, I guess you could almost call it somewhat of a career resurgence these last 3 or 4 games, kind of operating as that point center. And then for the Nets, also DeAndre Jordan going to miss this one, which is a significant change, of course, for the Brooklyn Nets. I'll throw it to you first, AP. The Nets become tough when they've got Kyrie, Durant, and James Harden all in there, right?
Yeah. First off, just from a fantasy perspective, like I think one of the best plays on the slate, and this, I don't think I've ever said this like ever, but I think Draymond Green is going to be the best play on the slate.
I've been riding the Green train hard ever since these guys went. Yeah.
Here's why. He benefit, like his fantasy points are made up of peripheral stats, rebounds, assists. We have a 245-point total. They're going to miss shots. Like, they're not going to make them all. It's going to be a ton of – they're going to – and the game's going small too. These teams are going to be sprinting back and forth. There's going to be tons of rebound opportunities. So
absolutely with you.
I would love to look at the props. I bet, it just feels like a lock that Draymond gets over 10 boards. He's been getting over 10 assists. His last – let's see. He's put up 11, 10, 15 assists over his last 5 games. As long as this game stays close, he's going to get 10 here. And there's going to be opportunity for buckets too. He may only score 10. That's all he needs, but he's got triple-double upside in this matchup. I love Draymond. I think here's the other thing too about this game. I'm really excited to watch. I'm curious because the spread's closer than what I thought. Vegas is giving the Warriors a ton of respect here, and rightfully so. They're playing good. They're coming off 2 wins. When these 2 teams played at the start of the season, it was on the 22nd. It was the very first game of the year.
Yeah, I remember the game. Yep.
Yeah, the Nets blew them out. They didn't have the Warriors did not have Draymond though. They were a mess. It was all like get Curry the ball, and the Nets were a different team then, and they absolutely shut Curry down. Wiggins was terrible. Kelly Oubre went 0 for 15 or whatever. He was terrible. It's a different team now with Draymond. Draymond knows how to set Curry up. Twice this year already, he's made 10 3-pointers in games. It's absolutely incredible. When I first looked at this slate, when I first looked at this game, I wanted to fade Curry. I wanted to find a reason to fade him. I can't. I think he's the best play on the slate. I think he's got big upside here. I think he's going to be plenty motivated. And look, if they start Kyrie, Harden, and Durant, and Joe Harris, who are they going to throw at Curry? I think Curry's going to just, I think he's going to go off. What the Nets need to do. So what I would be looking out for heading into this game, if they switch it up, let's just say they take Joe Harris out, and let's just say they start Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, he's for his size,
put on Curry.
Yeah, big wingspan. Can be tough on shooting point guards. If they did that, I would have a little bit of concern. But still, I think Curry is going to find a way to get open. I think the Warriors, after getting embarrassed, Joey Work was on the Bet Show earlier today. He whipped out the Golden State hat, and he predicted the Warriors, the Dubs win. I'm with him. I think the Warriors are going to win tonight. I think Curry's going to have a 40-plus point night. And I think all of these guys are going to have big nights.
I love it. Just a different Warriors team than we saw the first game these guys played. Obviously a different Brooklyn team too, but I think the bigger change has been with the Warriors. They were lost, right? With no Draymond Green. It was Steph Curry. He was trying to run a lot of pick and roll. That's not what he's doing anymore. The offense is kind of running through Draymond Green, Curry running off picks. Golden State, they kind of have it figured out right now. They're playing the way that they should be. They're playing with confidence. I know there's no fans in the stands and all that, but it's this game still, at Golden State, I think makes a little bit of a difference. We've seen Curry just play super well recently, kind of reminding everybody, yes, it's a different Warriors team, but man, he's still here. He's still a transcendent player. And I assume you're with me here, AP. I'll get to you in a minute, Rubio. The pairing of Draymond Green and Curry, I think, is a really good way to start your team tonight. That's the way I'm leaning.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best. I mean, you get 40-point plus raw scoring.
You're hoping for 100 fantasy points between the two.
Yeah.
Yep. Rubio, thoughts on Brooklyn and Golden State? Are you with me and AP kind of leaning on this Draymond Green Curry tandem, who is, they are the true engine, the true two stars of this team right now, and they're making it work.
If this Brooklyn Golden State game was a bed of spikes, I would lay on it and just be impaled by every bit of it. I'm a huge fan of this game, and I figured out Big T's secret. Big T wins 300K. It's a really simple process. He jams people playing the Nets, and he just did it. I don't know if you guys seen. He just posted his core, and he just comes out with just another Golden State onslaught. And the biggest thing for me is just I'm going to follow that. And I was kind of already on the path where I love Oubre, I love Draymond, I love Wiggins. I want at least 3 of those 4 scorers, including Curry. I think, for the most part, like with the house value with McDermott and stuff like that, I think I can comfortably get Curry and kind of go Oubre and Draymond around it and really kind of make, capture all that Golden State offense. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do. I think the Draymond love is legitimate. Like he does everything. He does everything without scoring the ball too. That's what makes him great. He's not going to be taking away offensive usage outside of like maybe a few assists here and there. But like you can play him with everyone. He gets it done defensively, where he's averaging his steals and blocks have been really up the past, week or so. So I'm a huge fan of this game. I want minimum of 3 Warriors. I wish I had time to do multiple lineups. I wish I wasn't here at Verizon because like this is a game to where it's short enough slate to where you can just really take advantage of the Warriors here.
Yeah, we won't tell the Verizon you wish you were making lineups instead of grinding.
One other thing I got to mention real quick too is when you look at pricing and when you look at just overall roster construction strategy and how the slate lines up, you don't have to force runbacks from Brooklyn. This game
agreed. That was my next question, but agreed. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, this game could go over. We could go over 245 points, and you could see a scenario because there's so many mouths to feed on the net side where KD lands at 48, Kyrie lands at like 46, and Harden lands at like maybe 55. None of them could kill you. But when you look at the Warriors side of it and how their team is built, Curry's the guy that has to get all the buckets. Draymond is the peripheral guy. Oubre also is a peripheral guy who relies on some steals and blocks. And then Wiggins is another scoring guy. You could see, I might even run a build in that the big whatever tournament where I'm running the 4 main Warriors guys, and I'm not even pairing it with a run back on the net side. I could see it playing out.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So DeAndre Jordan out, to me, that's even a bigger boost to Draymond Green because he's not going to have to contend with that size. Do you see a play on the Nets? How are they going to kind of combat Draymond Green down there? They just don't have much, right? Yes, they can play Kevin Durant at center. I think we're going to see that sometimes.
Green on green, man. Jeff Green. Some green on green action.
Yeah, but I can't pay $5,500 for Jeff Green. What about you?
If he's playing the 5 and he's down low, I could see that as a run back. I don't feel great about it. Like that seems a little expensive, but
just a price point for me. Rubio, if you are trying to run this one back, and we've kind of all established we don't think we have to, if you're picking one of the Brooklyn stars, Durant, Harden, Kyrie Irving, I don't particularly love any of them on this slate, even on a 4-game slate, even on a 245 total, which kind of seems crazy. But if you got to choose one, do you have a favorite of those 3?
Yeah, it's going to be James Harden just because, he'll get it done with the assist at least and maybe the rebounds for triple-double chases. So I think 2010, 16's like in the cards for him every night.
Yep.
I think if you're making me run back, you're forcing my hand. I think Jeff Green's a good look too with DeAndre Jordan now. This is a good matchup. Draymond's not the tallest guys, so this kind of bodes well for him. Mid-tier run back, don't force it, but yeah, I think I'd be interested in Green a little bit.
That makes sense. Kevin Durant, obviously a little bit of a revenge game, a narrative game, if you want to call it that. I think he's going to be fine with the minutes and stuff. Like we've seen him. I think people were a little bit worried coming into the season. He missed so much time with that Achilles. Now he's been off another week with the COVID scare or whatever. I think he'll just look like Kevin Durant when this game tips off. I don't think the minutes will be limited. So he might be the guy I would look to, and I think he could play some time at the 5 here. I think Kevin Durant can guard Draymond Green, right? It's not like Draymond Green is going to post him up or dominate him on the boards or anything like that. So I think you could see some minutes for Durant at the 5, could increase his rebounding. He could get in passing lanes, right? Draymond Green kind of distributing a lot out of the elbow situation. So I kind of lean Kevin Durant. I think he'll be very, very low owned. I like him a little bit as a run back myself. Let's get to the last game of the night. That's Miami and Utah. A pretty low total in this one, of course, as you might expect. This game in Utah, the Jazz are 6.5-point favorites, 215.5 total. We do have confirmation at this point. Mike Conley will miss his 4th straight game, if I have that right, 4th or 5th. Goran Dragic going to remain out for the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero will play in this one. I've been riding the Donovan Mitchell train pretty hard these last 3 games. He's taken over a big role in the offense, AP. And if you look up, kind of the tracking numbers, passes made, passes received, potential assists, it's clear that Donovan Mitchell has a much bigger role in this offense with Mike Conley on the bench. A little bit of a tough matchup against Miami, but I do like going back to the Donovan Mitchell well a little bit here. AP, your thoughts on Utah and Miami?
Yeah, the Jazz are playing really well right now. They're just kind of rolling over people. Even the Bucks last night. I mean, it was pretty impressive. The Bucks had very few answers, and Donovan Mitchell is a solid play all around. Him and Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson is the guy I actually preferred.
Okay.
Just because he's 5,400 on DraftKings, and I'm struggling with the Heat side. I can't play Jimmy in this matchup, and I'm struggling, with Bam too. So for me, I'm lower on this game. I do have interest in Jordan Clarkson though.
I think Miami will do enough to keep this one close to get full minutes out of the Jazz guys, which is kind of what I'm looking at. I'm in on Donovan Mitchell. I'm in on Rudy Gobert at 7,100. I know the matchup isn't perfect, but that's about as low as you'll get Gobert, and you see him just put up 35 to 50 fantasy points almost every single night. So 7,100 for Gobert, I think, is just a solid, safe play in this one. I expect him to be out there. Rubio, you seeing anything that stands out between the Heat and the Jazz?
I really like that Clarkson price, especially on FanDuel. 4.7 is quite a bit laughable, I should say. And then even on DraftKings too. I played him last night against the Bucks. It was a little bit of a run back, to be honest. I know it was a large slate, so it's a little bit different, but I definitely like the price tag on him. It's really hard for this game to stand out, any Jazz game, but Rudy Gobert kind of feels a little bit cheap as well if you're looking for another second center, if you don't really want to trust Capella. But that's kind of where I'm looking at. Like, I understand the Donovan Mitchell love, but with Steph Curry being a guy rates so highly, and me trying to already force in Draymond and stuff like that, it's a little bit difficult for me to get in, and even Wall as well. So I think I'm going to be fading this game for the most part. Outside, maybe Gobert and Jordan Clarkson here.
Yeah, I'm on the Jazz side of this one. Mitchell, Gobert, Clarkson, the 3 guys I'm looking at. It sounds like all 3 of us are kind of in that boat. None of us have really any strong plays from Miami. AP, if you had to play one guy from Miami, let's say this is the last game of the night, you're looking to backload a little bit. Do you have anyone from Miami that might make your teams?
Yeah, one kind of sneaky play. I don't like it at all, but Kelly Olynyk. He's been getting good run. They need him. They help. He helps to stretch the court a little bit when they're playing their half-court offense. And he's a guy you need him to hit a few threes early. And if he does, he's going to earn himself more minutes. If he doesn't, he could lose. He could lose his spot in the rotation. But I don't think anyone's going to play him. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's like sub 2% owned, and he could get it done. He's been pretty consistent of late, and he definitely does have upside too.
Yeah, I can't hate the Olynyk call. Never feels super great, but everybody feels the same way. And we do see big games from Olynyk from time to time for sure. Checking back over just any news that has dropped, usually on a bigger slate, we'd get some. I don't see any that has come across our airwaves since we've been on air. So I think everything that we've talked about, at least for now, 10 minutes before this slate starts, will stand. I don't have much else. I guess just kind of from an overall slate perspective, from a GPP perspective, I do think you're going to see a lot of people gravitate toward that Brooklyn Golden State game. I get it. I think all of us are sort of on the same page where we're definitely on the Warriors side, but maybe you can fade the Nets side of that if you want to. Am I reading your take kind of on the slate in general, right, AP?
Yeah, for me, the key decision point where I'm going to get different is John Wall. I think you can get different in multiple ways. Brogdon easily, I think he's going to be lower owned, same price point. And then the decision is, if you want to get even more different, go Trae Young. He's going to be much lower owned than Steph Curry. And then what you do is play the peripheral pieces from the Warriors side. Play Draymond, play Wiggins. They're going to need Wiggins to score. So, that's a route that is definitely going to be different, but has a ton of upside too. The other thing I'm doing, so I ran a couple builds. Capella is a guy in my main. So, when I'm talking the 777, I love Capella's projected to be really, really low owned. In my other one, I went John Collins. I think one of them for sure will smash. I think you could almost play both too and fade like Trae Young. And then I just Doug McDermott. I think is going to be the guy. God, he could just tilt me so hard. I can already feel it. DC, trusting Doug McDermott.
Nothing could be more tilting than the McDermott Olynyk combination. What could go wrong?
He's flashed some nice upside on the year. I think I might just lock him in. It's him or these Rockets guys, and
I hear you.
I don't what's the difference between Doug McDermott and Daniel House? I think McDermott has the better matchup and better pace. So I'm going McDermott over House for sure. I will have a little bit of House. But yeah, I think that the key way to get different is John Wall. I think he's going to be very chalky. And I just don't want to fade Nerlens. If you do, you got to play someone like a Taj Gibson or someone. They're going to have, one of their bigs in there.
I get what you're saying for sure. Yeah. Rubio, final thoughts on this slate before we get out of here.
Feeling it. I just changed my core actually on the site. So okay. I know there's some, in the chat. That's why you got to be a part of the Discord and stuff like that. Big T and K Fallic out their cores, kind of made a case against Noel in a way. So I'm going to pivot to House from Noel and kind of have a more flexible build for the most part. People are also clamoring for your core, DC. And you got anyone that you like personally?
I'm honestly mostly on kind of the same guys. I'm on the Draymond Green Steph Curry combination against the Nets is where I'm starting my build. I'm more on the John Wall train, I think, than AP is, but I do get getting off of him. But yeah, Draymond Green, I've been riding that train ever since Wiseman and Looney have been out, and that's the Steph Draymond tag team is the one that I'm kind of sticking with the most.
Want me to add that to the site for you?
Go ahead, that'd be great. Thank you.
Cool. I just want to make sure I'll put those three in for you.
Perfect. I guess that'll do it for this show. Thanks as always for tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you guys free shows pretty much each and every day, which is a pretty awesome thing we do here at Run Pure Sports.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah, we got to hold up till live.
One second. All right. So, what do you guys think with this game? Are we all Warriors? Are they going to win tonight?
Yeah. Let's talk about favorite bets.
I'm going to put a money line bet, or let's get some questions going too. Because here's the other thing that's been happening is the news that hits is just crazy. So.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And tonight, so the only thing pending right now is Derrick Rose. If Derrick Rose sits, we upgrade quickly.
Yep.
If Derrick Rose plays, it's a muddy backcourt, and you can definitely fade it at all because none of them are going to get big minutes at all. The only other spot, it seems like a straightforward slate from a news perspective. It's unless we get something random like COVID related, which could definitely happen. We've seen crazier stuff. So always make sure your alerts are on. Make sure you're always ready to pivot. And look, the other thing too is there's no other options if you're waiting to stack up the 8 p.m. game. There's no other options to go to. So hopefully that game is fine. I think it's going to be fine. But still, it's one that I don't think we need to get heavy exposure to at all.
Yeah, AP, I saw you missed. What was the Isaiah Roby, right? That was a couple nights ago. He was a super popular
on the
player.
workbench, man. A very quick session.
You were hitting the bench.
A very quick, efficient session. I thought, we were good to go.
Efficient is one word for it.
I did not take my time at all, but I missed the news.
What do you recommend for trying to make sure that doesn't happen? Because obviously, we're all grinding up to lock, and it can be a long day of trying to get your best possible teams in there. What's your recommendation for kind of trying to make sure stuff like that was, late news and we didn't even know for sure, but the Discord, our Discord at runpuresports.com was on it, right? If you were in there in the few minutes before that game lock, you probably ultimately got off of Isaiah Roby. Is that right, AP?
Yeah, if you were in, it was all over the Discord for sure. So you just got to have, you got to check. Okay, so it's easy. Just before 5 to 10 minutes before the game locks, hop into Discord. Read through chat real quick. Don't even set an alert. Just like hop in. The other thing is follow Fantasy Labs injury, and put the alerts on for that Twitter account.
It's like no one should have an excuse for missing that stuff.
Someone's saying where the core plays. Are we missing some cores? I guess
I put up DC's core, his 3-man core. I think that's what people were wondering, but it's all on the site.
Gotcha.
Appreciate it, man. I didn't realize I was on the course today.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. A little slow on the uptake with recovering from the COVID here. So we'll be back. So tomorrow we have, I know I'll be there, I think with Tidal and I think one other person talking Sunday NBA. And of course, we've got our podcast, which is picking up some steam. You guys that haven't checked that out, we've got our First Look podcast. And that's out every Monday through Friday, early, just kind of giving you guys an early look, what we're looking at in terms of injuries, all that good stuff. I've got some cool baseball announcements coming up in the next week. That's been a little bit delayed just with me getting over some sickness, but some really fun stuff there, good partnerships, all that stuff. As we kind of get we're 2 minutes from lock now. Further news, PJ Tucker confirmed starting, nothing that we didn't expect there. Whatever happened to PJ Tucker? He's just been completely off the radar this year. I haven't personally touched him this year, thankfully. What else, Rubio? Any other thoughts as we kind of?
Hey, one thing real quick. So for some reason, Coop was on the header for the core plays. He's on full NASCAR duty this week. So, and moving forward, he's not going to be doing with NFL. We will have BigT or JSU on the core plays on the weekends, guaranteed. So it will not be Coop. He's full-time NASCAR now. So we'll get that adjustment. My apologies. Tomorrow will be much different, and it will be on point.
Yeah, a little bit of a transition period here, but of course we'll get it all figured out. So you guys have the core plays, tiers, all that good stuff for each and every sport over at Run for Your Sports. I think that should do it. We'll go all the way to 7:30 Eastern time. Make sure we don't miss anything in these last 30 seconds. Should be a good slate, I think. These money lines, I'm on the Warriors, right? I'll take them. You can get them plus 130, plus 135-ish. I'm seeing some places. It sounds like you're with me, AP. You think the Warriors can pull this one off against the Nets?
Yeah, I'm going to fire a little something on it, pour myself a nice whiskey, and watch Curry just, do
his thing.
I don't feel like do it for fun, okay? It's not
I agree with
I think it's a fun bet. You enjoy the game. You do a little amount. Like if you lose, you're not going to be mad. It's one of those things. I mean, don't go nuts with it.
I think the Warriors, they're going to want to win this one against the Nets. With the Nets got all three of their stars there.
Yeah, they're going to win. Yep.
And it's like, why are the Warriors only 3.5-point dogs? Feels like one you chase on that little money line. Rubio, I'll throw it to you. Final thoughts on the slate. Any good bets you like? Hopefully you're avoiding your bosses over there at Verizon. Last word to you, Rubio.
I'm thinking here. I'm looking for a big night in MMA, NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR is about to finish up. I can't wait to go ahead and watch that. But I'm really confident in NBA tonight. Just wish it was a multi-line night. I got to run 150 last time. So But today is a little bit different, just going with the single entry dart. So, kind of looking forward to it. I think we'll have success. I think one of us is going to be shipping.
We'll hope so, and we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow and each and every day for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, good luck in all your contests tonight. He's AP, he's Rubio, I'm DC, and we'll check you next time.